The NBA playoffs won't be canceled after players boycotted 3 playoff games Wednesday and multiple teams voted to end the season. Out of the 13 teams, I like how they say multiple. Out of the 13 teams I read, there were only 2. So 2 out of the 13 voted to end the season. Quick check of the math means most didn't. Most said stick it. We got to get our money. In a contentious meeting, according to multiple reports, in the justified shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We'll skip the rest. We don't care about that. But I'm so disappointed. I was looking forward to all this great activism they were going to do. They were going to leave the bubble. I was looking forward to them going out into black communities. And I say black communities because obviously these are black individuals and they're always talking about the injustices towards the black communities. So I was really looking forward to seeing them go into these socio-economically disadvantaged neighborhoods. You like how I was PC with that? So in all seriousness, though, I was looking forward to seeing these gentlemen go into neighborhoods, black neighborhoods around the U.S., ones that are on the lower economic scale, and going into those communities, getting into community centers, getting into the schools, just going out on the streets and just saying, hey, door by door, house by house, saying, hey, here's a pamphlet. Here's what you need to do to be successful. First off, fear whitey, fear the police. America is full of isms, and you're defeated before you even begin. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Don't have a kid out of wedlock. Go to high school. Get a job. Don't commit a crime. Success. The keys to success, everybody. I was really looking forward to these gentlemen going out there and preaching this positive message to all those individuals that buy their tennis shoes and jerseys. Huh? What? What do you mean? What? Not gonna happen? What? Not gonna happen? We've got our spineless turd, LeBron James. Bend over for China, baby. Change doesn't happen with just talk. It happens with action and needs to happen now. For my I Promise school kids, and I'd imagine there's a lot of diversity in that class, right? The class has got to be, based on the demographics of the United States. What, half white? Throw in a little about like 15% black, a little 15% Hispanic, like 10% Asian, 10% other. I'd imagine that's how his classes are, and I imagine that these individuals who are out there preaching about kids and wanting to help the next generation, that they're out there helping every race of kid, right? Kids and communities across the country. It's on the U.S. to make a difference. Together. That's why your vote matters? Hashtag more than a vote? With a black power fist and a hashtag Black Lives Matter? So you're telling me that this is all about the November election? That this really isn't about some kind of equity? George Floyd, Jacob Blake? Are you really telling me that all of this that we've gone through all summer long, that this is about November? Nah, no, that could never be the case. They would never put us through all of this just for an election. Would they? From what I've read, and then I'll get into my thought, but from what I've read, there was something to do with money and them having to play a certain amount of games in a season to get their money. So let's be honest. These guys have no integrity. It's all about the money. And hey, I'm not going to fault somebody who's making $5, $10, $15, $20 million a year for wanting to get that money. But let's not act like it's about integrity. Let's not act like this boycott, which lasted for all of about a good night's sleep, was really about anything more than a power grab. There you see it yourself. Voting. That's what it's all about. Basically what happened was the NBA said, you're going to miss out on this money if you don't do it. China said, hey, get on the court now, losers, because you bend over for us. This goofball here, LeBron, what a guy to have as your leader, right? And this is what I was saying yesterday. if they could have gotten into a situation, and this would have been interesting to see, where they got him and his team and the Clippers out of the bubble. And I should have mentioned this before, but how ironic that it's called the bubble when you have all these bubbleheads together throwing similar and like-minded ideas off of each other. They should have named this thing the echo chamber. And you know how dangerous those can be, as we've seen with certain parts of the argument getting cut off of Twitter and Facebook and everything like that. You see kind of the radicalization as more normalized individuals kind of get pushed aside. And so what creates a radical platform also creates a radical bubble. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who tries to look at both sides of things. I don't know what I'm talking about. China says, listen up, idiot. Get your bitch ass back on the court now. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know he did it. He may try to talk tough, like he doesn't bend over for anybody, but we know that's not true. People's actions, not their words, right? Now, a couple more things we've got here. Minnesota, it jumped off again. What was it over? Have you guys heard the story? You've had to have heard the story. An individual was cornered by police. A suspect ended up killing himself. Rumors were put out there, probably on a social media platform somewhere. God bless social media. Riots jumped off again. This time they decided to liberate a Saks Fifth Avenue in the name of reparations. So we've seen other stores provide reparations for these individuals. Looting was taking place at the mall. I will give credit to the governor and the mayor this time, though. They got the National Guard quickly. What do you mean you don't like tens of millions of dollars to your city? And then when you go to Daddy Trump and ask him for a blank check, he says, nah. More looting downtown in Minneapolis. There's that Saks Fifth Avenue that's been liberated. It was probably on a former plantation site, so that's why they decided to liberate it. You know what I just thought would be funny? Was if they went into the Saks Fifth Avenue, put on employee badges, and started working there and earning money of their own. Wouldn't that be something? Just hang out there, and we're assuming the business is open. Just hang out there, wait for the manager to come in the morning, and be like, hey, we're your new employees. We're here to work and earn some money. Police breaking up the Saks. Looting, no arrest, tear gas, Brits pubs on fire. Way to go. Biden on riots. Militias aligned with white supremacists are often the biggest source of trouble. Oh, is that right? Seems like they're trying to paint Rittenhouse with that brush. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Don't you hate when Kayleigh McEnany pops up on my screen? I know I do. If you know my past videos, you know I don't. Let's read a little bit of this. And keep in mind, he says these are supreme taco groups that are out there causing most of the trouble. Biden pushed back against arguments from Pence and Trump and others speaking at this week's national convention who argue that a Biden presidency would lead to more riots and violence, and asserted that right-wing white supreme tacos are responsible for much of the violence in recent riots. Now, I was actually thinking about that in some regard because in a lot of ways, and let me scroll down a little bit so you can read a little bit more of this if you want to, but in a lot of ways, it didn't make sense what I was seeing with my own eyes. I see so many white people out here throwing up is that black power fist? I guess you would assume even if a white person throws it up, that's supposed to be the black power fist. But you've got so many white people out here doing the work for the commies, BLM. Antifa, Black Bloc, anarchists, whatever group you want to call them, or whatever kind of group has had involvement in this. I'm not going to act like I know if they have or haven't, but we hear these names of these groups come up. And when I see these individuals, I see so many white people there. And it just didn't make any sense to me that when you have this movement that so clearly, that has a leadership structure, we're talking about BLM, and those individuals that are, let's say, the more radical types, where they would clearly, if they had power, would clearly subjugate those white individuals to second-class status. I don't doubt that they would. Thanks for all you did, Whitey, but go shine my shoes. People get fooled by the slogan itself, and they really think that they're doing the work. But when you listen to these individuals, these more radical black supreme tacos talk, they would subjugate these individuals in a heartbeat if they got power. Am I seeing that wrong? Am I the only one that sees that? Well, I think a lot of you see that, but it seems like these individuals, all these white people that are marching with them, don't seem to get that. When you have fanatics or supremes, you're either 100% with them or you're subjugated to second-class citizenry. What I'm saying is, though, it didn't jibe with what I'm seeing. Like, I see so many white people in these things, and I'm like, how is it possible that these white people could be fooled by this? Or is it true that these white people here are actually some kind of supreme tacos themselves? In a way. So here's what I was thinking. All of these groups, and the ones I just named, BLM, Antifa, Black Bloc, anarchists, any other groups that you want to throw in there, my feeling is kind of like the analogy of they're riding in the same car, but they aren't going to the same party necessarily. That this is an attempt for all of these groups that are feeling like they're disenfranchised in a way to try to overthrow the thing together. Once the thing is overthrown, then they would fight each other. Does that make any sense to you guys? That as a collective, we can overthrow this thing, and we'll be cool for now. We'll play nice. But once those individuals would see something overthrown and see the power within their reach, then that's when those groups would start duking it out to see who could take over the power. That's just something I thought. That's the crazy thought I had. I don't know what I'm thinking about, but Joe Biden over here talking about Taco Supremes. So if that's the case, then what does this say about Minnesota? This is an old article from about 2 months ago. You can see the title here. Like I said, it was a couple months ago, and it's just like one little piece of information. It's not the full puzzle, obviously, but jail records show most arrested in Minneapolis riots have Minnesota addresses. Remember, they kept trying to say people were coming from outside. Oh, outside agitators, outside agitators. That could be proven to be true. But again, this was just a little article here that I wanted to pull up in light of what Biden said about how all of these individuals are white right-wing groups. So if you're telling me that Minnesota jumped off again, and again, this is just one specific example. We're not kind of tying the whole thing into this, but if he's saying this statement, and you saw in the photo of those individuals that were liberating the Saks Fifth Avenue, those individuals do not look like alt-right white supreme tacos to me. They look opposite. So I'm guessing that those individuals are not going to be down with the cause if some alt-right group came rolling through.